Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IrishSportsDaily.com. I'm your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Thursday, August 6th, excuse me. Normally, Jamie and I are like in different countries when we do this show. Right now, I am upstairs and he is downstairs. We both attended Notre Dame's opening practice of fall camp in the 2026 season. So many takeaways, so many things that kind of stood out to us, things that we noticed. It's a really good looking football team. We'll talk about that right off the top. We'll go position by position on just like what we saw from the team, and then we'll talk about the team periods 1-on-1, 7v7, and when they went offense versus defense. Going to be a very action-packed show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you like what you hear, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know whenever it is we are going live. And as always, the show is going to be brought to you by ESQ Clothing, founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. You've seen ESQ on All Americans, All Pros, Associates, CEOs, whoever it might be. Let me just get this down here. Whether you're looking for the perfect fitting suit, a standout sport coat, or a perfect tuxedo for weddings and galas, ESQ's master tailors blend traditional hand stitching in each garment with Italy and England's best fabrics. Check out Ge's amazing work at esqclothing.com. Book an appointment to upgrade your wardrobe today. Mention ISD and get 10% off your entire purchase. That's esqclothing.com. It was an overcast day. It was a muggy day, but everyone was in high spirits. One of the first players out to we arrived like 30 minutes before practice was supposed to start, and very quickly CJ Carr comes bounding out of the Shields Hall, ready to go. He looked good. Just my first impression, CJ Carr. Let's talk about him for a second. Look more defined, much more muscular, like more physically prepared than even a year ago. So I thought he looked good, Jamie, from a physical standpoint. Just like his arms were bigger, his legs were thicker. He looks like a much more mature player. So I think that's kind of a big deal, just kind of a thing on him. Just like your impression. Let's talk about TJ Carr just right off the top. Your impression of him just as he kind of went through all the drills and everything, and what you saw from him on the first practice today.
Yeah, he definitely looked bigger, and I think that's not something that was that different from the spring, or from if anyone saw pictures of him at the Manning Passing Academy when he's like next to Arch Manning and looks like he looks like he's supersized version of Arch Manning, because Arch Manning, even though Arch Manning is not a small guy, and he looked much more defined than him. I thought he looked great. Like, he threw one ball where it probably should have been picked by Jaden Sanders. It was off a boot. That was probably a throw he just shouldn't have made. Should have threw it away. That was really the only ball I thought that I saw from him. I didn't watch all of like the one-on-ones and all the other stuff, but I thought he didn't put the ball in danger in any way, and in any other things. I thought he, for the most part, made a pretty good did a pretty good job of like with his decision makings of like when to check stuff down. Completely unsurprising that his ball placement was really on point for the most part. Like, he's just one of those guys who he hits guys in stride a lot. So if it was a day where there was pads, there would have been a lot of chances for some yak for quite a few of those guys, especially, because they threw a lot of slants today. So, weren't pushing the ball down the field, but he was like hitting guys in the numbers, like, and look really good, look sharp for the first day. A big difference from last year in August. His first day, not quite as good.
Yeah, not quite as good. Everyone was kind of worried about him at that point. I think for me, the thing is like, there's a joke in here about did he stretch with the team? It's interesting when that whole thing was going off last year, the quarterbacks did not stretch as much as the regular team did. The thing with CJ Carr is when you're watching him go through his process or whatever it is, like, he is laser focused. I mean, he takes every rep very seriously, and he is not messing around. He is not joking. He's locked in. And I think that's like, it's a super big thing for like that quarterback room specifically, because they're young, but also like, I think the entire team, the entire offense, like kind of feeds off that. Cause like, he's not he's very serious about everything that's going on. And so I think that really sets a tone, like some guys, like they don't have that kind, even the quarterbacks, like they can be a little bit jolly go lucky or whatever it might be. Like CJ is a very serious person. And I think that's where, the Todd McShay stuff where you talked about how he was so impressed with him at the Manning Academy, just like his mindset and the way he went through things. It shows up. I mean, he's very clearly a leader on this football team. Very likely going to be a captain. I would be stunned if that wasn't the case. So he definitely leads by example that way. Let's talk about this team overall, just from a physical standpoint. This is the first time I've seen them at a practice like this. Like I've obviously seen them at games or player walks or whatever, like you stand next to them. Incredibly good looking football team. I mean, it's just players that stood out to me. Like I thought, like the people are, there were questions about Jaden Greathouse and his health coming in, and he looked incredible. He looks really good. I mean, streamlined, thick, strong. He looked fast. Just the way that he was moving, he looked quick. He looked very sure of himself. So I thought that was, a big deal. The D line looks Boubacar Traore looks like $1 million. Francis Brew, his arms are just monstrous. So just like a really good and impressive looking football team. And someone that we can get to is, Quincy Porter. Like we'll talk about how he moved around, but from a physical standpoint, like you see it. I mean, he is a very physically impressive looking player. Anyone else that stood out to you from, what you saw at the practice?
Yeah, a lot of guys. I would say just like the linebacker group in general. Obviously, you've got 4 guys that played a ton of football the last 2 years. So, I mean, guys like Bowen and KVA, those guys are just going to look impressive no matter what. Osbury, I mean, that is a guy who has really changed his body over the course of time and like added weight. He looks fantastic. He looks like he's in fantastic shape. Was moving around great. Sneed it's kind of crazy when you think about Sneed when he came in and he was a guy you were like, is this guy going to get over 220 pounds? Like he was fighting it. And I think it was with him, it was something where he wasn't putting enough effort into it and getting and focusing on what was necessary. And he's built completely different now. He's bigger, but he's just the same type of explosive athlete. Fermo looks great. As a freshman, like Thomas Davis Jr., he looks the part. And Jacoby Clapper, who didn't see him in the spring because he was out for the spring, he does not look like a freshman. I think just in general, you would say like the freshmen in general, most of those guys don't look like freshmen. And it really is to the benefit of so many of those guys that they enrolled early. Like Rodney Dunham's listed, I think, at 242 pounds. That dude is not 242. He looks like he's over 250. Easy. Because he is bigger than he was in the spring and he looks like $1 million. Like Armel Mukam looks super impressive. Very impressive. Just Sean Saviano, you see him slim down. Still a big, strong dude, but you see him slim down. I don't think it was hyperbole what Marcus Freeman was saying when he's talking about, hey, bigger, faster, stronger. These guys are putting up more numbers. Like, I think that's the case, right? And a lot of it is not just, them having a better offseason or like, yeah, Lauren Lando did a great job. It's not that he didn't, but a lot of it is just like these guys are dudes and they're just like have a bunch of really high level athletes that are just like peaking and really getting there. And it's impressive. It's really, really impressive. And that is the thing that has changed the most under Marcus Freeman, just top to bottom, the roster, just athletically, just if you look at like the DBs, like Mark Zachary has really put on weight and looks way bigger than he was last year. Last year he looked like he was putting about 170 pounds and was, fighting it, competed hard. You could tell he could have a chance to play. Well, now he's 190 pounds and he looks very similar to Dallas Golden when they're next to each other now, where that wasn't the case last year. But he's also the smallest DB pretty much out there. Like because everybody else looks like a giant. They have so many guys that are just and long and athletic and twitchy. And I would even say too about Greathouse, just to add to what you're saying, that's easily the twitchiest I've seen him. Just like he had a little bit more spring there too, especially for a guy who's coming off. Everybody's worried about the hamstring and stuff like that. He was full go today. He looked great.
Yeah, they didn't limit him at all. In terms of, there were some guys who we were afraid, well, they might be limited or whatever it might be. Greathouse was not. He took every rep and he did everything at full speed too, which looked very good. And we'll get to the injured guys too, and like the limited guys, because a lot of them, most of them were like limited, but not really. I mean, they like KVA, for example, like he did everything, and he didn't have a brace either. That's the other part. Like he didn't come out with a knee brace or anything like that. He did everything. They didn't like risk him in terms of like, I think while they were doing the inside run fits, like they were doing one-on-ones at that point. You muted yourself.
Yeah. Sorry. Like, yeah, he didn't do the inside run fits. That's the thing where you can get tangled up. They're not going to take any chances. Ashton Craig wasn't doing that either. Both those guys were doing things with the ones in every other sense. So there's zero reason to think those guys, they're prepping them to get them ready to play in week one. Yeah. There's a big difference between them and Porter, who we'll get into, but yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned the freshmen. Like, I thought the running backs looked good physically. I mean, I like Walton is thick, and so was Osborne. Like, we didn't really see them because when Notre Dame was doing like a lot of their team stuff, it was Williams, it was James, and it was Kedron Young over with like the main group doing their stuff, and then on the other field was like, the younger guys were all doing their stuff over there, right? So we didn't really see them at all. But physically they look good. Bubba Frazier, like, he is a guy who I think when you see him as a recruiting profile, you think, is he big enough? 100% big enough. I mean, he is, like, he can play. Like, and first of all, not only can he's going to play. The amount that they used him today, there's no way that he's not going to get on the field, probably in week one. Like, they wouldn't use him like that. He got a ton of reps today. So there's that situation. Braden Robinson is another guy who, like, he is smaller, but he's not small to the point where it's like, I can't see him out there ever. And I thought he caught the ball well. Like, Mike has always been kind of impressed with his high school tape and how he catches the ball. Like, he catches the ball really well. He's a very confident catcher too. It's funny. A couple of people in the chat have mentioned the SoFi patch. I actually didn't notice it until, like, we were looking at photos afterwards, and you didn't notice it until Porath came to
interviews after.
Yeah. So that's funny. I honestly did not notice that it was there. So I thought that was interesting. Wanted to mention KVA, no brace. Matt Freeman very, very happily noted that the hair is back. He's got the big hair, and that's a big indicator for Matt. I've got Mylan Graham look great. Mentioned Braden Robinson. Let's talk about just like my impressions. I guess this is my first time seeing them, like I said before. I think the amount of, first of all, the seriousness of this team, and you can speak to whether or not this is normal. The practice was supposed to start at one time. The players all entered the practice field about 30 minutes before.
That's pretty typical, actually.
Okay. So they're all out there, but you can hear them. Like, we're not watching at this point. They're behind the fence and they're all working. Like you can hear them working. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then we get in and we get into the building and they're doing stuff like on their own. Just like, and this is where you kind of sense like, oh, what were they doing in the summer? Like, they're doing this stuff where they all get together and they're all like, the coaches aren't really there, but it's like organized drills that they're doing by themselves, like locked in, right? Like, not because I'm thinking they're back there just messing around, having a good time. You know what I mean? And that's not what it was. Like, it was focused work, and it was like the players were leading it. And I was impressed with that. Just the amount of like seriousness that they went into it. The entire practice was up tempo. I mean, they would go from drill to drill for the entire 2 hours, and maybe you would get the longest break you would get in between drills is 1 minute. I mean, these guys are working all the time. It's just they're never standing around. They're never not doing anything. No one is running a route if the ball's not being thrown to them, whether it's one of the quarterbacks or whether it's one of the GAs or one of the analysts, whoever it might be, support staff that's throwing them the ball. The amount of work that they're getting in during this period is kind of mind-boggling to me as someone who, hasn't witnessed one of these things. Like that operation to me was super impressive. I wanted to get your observations on that, because for me it was completely new.
Yeah, I do think, I mean, I would say under BK as well, they were always efficient in practice. They're making use of every minute, and I don't think that's something that has changed that much. I will say the work that they do before practice, that has changed under Freeman. And I think it, to be fair, it's not like he brought in guys that did it. It was guys that were recruited by Kelly that, did that. But it was like a thing where you'd see, for example, Marist and JD Bertrand, Marist Leofau and JD Bertrand after practice, like literally like working against a post, doing like pass rush moves. And you're like, this is day 2 of camp, and these guys are doing this. Most guys are going in, and to be fair, they're not doing the double days like the old days. Those guys get in the cold tub right away if you're getting ready for the second practice. But we're always doing that, and then it's just one of those things. And you'd see that with like Howard Cross and and Heinisch and some of these other guys, and then there's a trickle down effect. Right. And that was something, and I think also too, it was something that you would see with like Al Golden coming in and bringing in that mentality. And then, so it would just kind of permeate throughout. Right. And it wasn't like there weren't guys doing extra before or after practice before, but now you just see it pass down where guys like almost feel obligated that they have to do it. Like, because at one point I would say during, most of the BK era, it was Harry Heasan and his O-line guys. They were always out early, always doing stuff early. And, it wasn't the same at every other position. You'd have individual guys here and there. It's totally different now, right? But it's been like this for the last few years. And it's not a coincidence that, hey, they're winning a ton of ball games and they got a bunch of talent.
100%. I mean, it just like they're locked in, man. They're I don't know, it's one of those things. Like I'm gonna predict them to go 12-0 or whatever it is, but they're locked in and they're ready to go. Let's go position by position here. The quarterbacks, obviously we mentioned Carr a little bit at the start, so we don't have to go into him. He didn't have like an eye-popping day, but he wasn't bad in any way. He made good decisions. He was accurate. Watching go through his process was incredibly impressive. Like, I mean, especially like indies and when they're throwing to the wide receivers, like he looks amazing. Let's talk about the let's just go through it. Blake Hebert. Well, what did you see from him? Not just in the indie, but some of the 1-on-1s and 7-on-7 stuff.
I thought he looked all right. I definitely don't think that there was a couple throws where, from like the far hash kind of throws that, the ball floated a bit. Was like, yeah, that's not, you can tell. I think he probably would, out of the scholarship quarterbacks, is number 4 out of their armed talent, I would say. But then again, there's a lot of stuff that he does with his mobility and stuff that's different too. Mm-hmm. I think like all the short game stuff, the quick game stuff, he looked good. Ball was out quick, on time. Thought it was pretty accurate. He made the one bad decision. Shouldn't have thrown that ball that got picked off by Luke Talich, like on a short throw. It was just, clock was ticking in his head and he's getting rid of the ball. But other than that, I thought he did an all right job. There was one other play over the middle that I was like, don't throw this ball. And he did. So kind of typical of like a backup kind of quarterback day where it's like you make a couple throws that, hey, you shouldn't, but it's also day one of camp and that's kind of expected. And I think it's kind of because he got pretty much all the 2 reps today, right? It's kind of unfair to compare. You can't say, so everyone's like, well, put in Gerard or put in Grubbs. It's like, you can't really do that based off of today or anything because we just didn't get to see enough of Grubbs and Gerard doing it. We got to see them physically and all that. Obviously, you didn't get to see Grubbs as much as we saw him in the spring. I thought, Grubbs looks exactly the same as he did in the spring in terms of, I think he's got an arm. He can sling it. He can push the ball downfield. I thought Teddy Gerard didn't quite look 6'4" to me as he was listed. I thought he was like, he might be a little shorter, but CJ Carr's what, about 6'2", 6'3".
He's about his size.
Yeah, he's about CJ Carr size, and he's not as as filled out as Carr, but he's going to look like that in a couple of years. That's how he looks how CJ Carr looked pretty much as a freshman. And so pretty much standard. And I thought, his arm, it did pop for me. I thought his arm, especially considering that he's only been in since June, he's a guy just walked in right away and you're like, yeah, he's got talent. Like he definitely has talent. It's definitely not enough to say like, well, he's going to be the backup and all this, but you can see the tools. You can see the tools for sure.
I listed Hebert as players that stood out to me today. And the reason for that is like, I went into it needing to see like, there are things they can do with him. Like, what can they do with him? And like, he showed that, like, there are some things like he just like, don't, like you said, don't throw that post, into double coverage with Jaden Osbury, first of all, making a great play, and Luke Tolich is there like that. You don't need to throw that ball. Like that's when I say you don't need to, like you probably should never, just because it's double coverage or whatever. Yeah. But then he also like he threw a nice like little post route to Mylan Graham on like a free play where the defense had jumped off sides, but he threw a post route to Mylan Graham and he goes up and catches it, and that was one of the bigger plays on the day. He threw the ball to Jerome Bettis Jr., where he went up over Mark Zachary and caught, it was 25, 30-yard go ball, whatever it was, which was a nice pass, and during the portion where the offense is running routes and they're running some of their plays against air, like when I say against air, like some of these throws are just like, all right, you complete them every time. Some of them aren't, right? Like when you have to throw the ball on a fade or a sideline fade or like a sideline corner route, like I don't care if no one's out there. Like these aren't easy throws. Yeah. I thought he threw the ball well in those situations. So, and then you factor in the fact that he's very well put together. Like he's a big kid. He's a big, strong kid and he can move. When you factor that in, like, are there things that Notre Dame can do with him and move the ball on offense if something were to happen to CJ Carr? Like, yeah, and that, again, we saw that a little bit in the spring and we saw it again today. That's why, to me, he stood out because he fits the description of like, okay, or fits the bill or passes the test of, is Notre Dame going to be able to move the ball if CJ Carr isn't in the game? And I think they can. Right now, it's not going to be clean, or it's not going to be 100%, and the playbook is not going to be nearly as open. But they can move the ball, and he passes that test. So I think, that to me was a big deal. I completely agree with you with Teddy Gerard. I was watching him on his deep throws, and he overthrew a bunch of them. And to me, it was like he's jacked up. This is his first practice, So like I didn't take anything from that other than like he's just fired up. But the fact is, like, you're overthrowing Braden Robinson, you're overthrowing these guys like that. He's got something, and
he's got a whip.
Yeah. And especially when they were doing some of the stuff where they were moving around and on the run, man, he flicks that ball and it comes out spinning. I mean, it's very nice. Like he throws a very good ball. and his release is super quick too. Like I was very much intrigued by him. I put him in my tweet. I put him in the monitoring section because he's someone I just want to track throughout camp and see how he's progressing and what the reports are on him, because it's not like Noah Grubbs was unimpressive in any way. Like I agree with you. He was accurate. And he looked good, but Teddy Gerard just had a little bit more physical talent that kind of stood out to me. And I have a question for you in terms of, again, I'm not usually at these practices. I thought there weren't really throws where I was like, ew, that's kind of gross, like from any of them. And I thought that was notable just for the room, because they can get a lot of work done. And I don't know that that's always been the case in the past.
Well, I mean, I don't really want to talk about Brandon Wimbush. But...
you don't have to. Like, I think everyone kind of knows, but you know what I'm saying, though, right? Like, I think there's something there.
I mean, I will say, I mean, for the most part, like, it's like how people are like Drew Pine, whatever. It's like Drew Pine's a competent guy. Like, he can make those throws in practice. Like, he can make those throws in practice. Most of the guys can. I mean, there is a difference between, where it's just true, just at quarterback and compared to everything else, Notre Dame is better. Their 3s and 4s are better than they were, 10 years ago. Yeah. 1000%. Like that is definitely the case. But I mean, I would say too, like, I mean, we don't get to watch. So if for people who don't, understand how practice breaks down, they have a lot of things where in order to maximize reps, they basically young guys, the guys who are the 3s and 4s, they go to the opposite field of where the media is situated. So we're not able to really watch those young guys, right? So it kind of sucks because we don't get to see maybe a lot of the guys that there might have been guys who are making plays all over the place in those 3s and 4s, right? Like kind of like how it's different in the spring because Devin Fitzgerald is like, he's cooking a walk on, but it's like, we all got to see it. So it doesn't matter. And it's different in this because we're watching ones and 2s the whole time pretty much. But I bet if we were able to watch it, you would just see it's a lot of really good players over there. There's a lot of guys who can ball, right? And I think it's just the facts, right? It's just what it is. Like, I think there's just a whole bunch of guys too that are good football players that if things were different, they would have much bigger roles in the team. If they just, more guys have to wait their turn now. It's just what it is.
Yeah. Let's move on to the running backs. Look, as much as a running back can pop in this situation where there's no pads and they're not doing any of that stuff and like none of the run game really matters, I thought Aeneas Williams popped to me. I mean, he would get the ball and get upfield. Sometimes the hole is like legitimate. I mean, they're moving guys a little bit, but man, he just looks good. He sees it and he goes, and it's like super impressive. And I continue to be high on him. They had one where they were running. He ran a deep corner route during, one of those periods. I can't remember who the quarterback was, but like over his, I mean, it was a deep corner and one-handed catch inside the end zone.
It was sick.
I mean, everyone was like, whoa, like that matters, right? And that's going in everyone's practice report kind of thing, like it was impressive play.
It was one of those ones that if you were just like at a camp and you were like, Justin Jefferson made that catch.
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of those ones. That's how good of a catch it was.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was impressive. I think there were times Nolan James look good. I mean, he's another guy who's like super serious, like takes it very seriously, and that's good to see. Kedron Young, I thought, he looked good doing everything right, and it was, to me, it was good that he was with the main group when they were doing team and 7-on-7 and that sort of thing. And so in my write up when I did all the team stuff, I didn't I didn't have notes on him because they had been like, okay, it's time we're walking out now. And so we were leaving and we were just kind of all just like kind of looking, and he made a run. They did like a run play with him, and we both noticed it where he made this cut and he just kind of flashed, because you're ground level, so it's hard to see these things. He just kind of flashed and made a cut and got it filled, and it was like, whoa, like who's that? And it's like, oh, it's Ge Young, And so I think that was my biggest thing on him. What did you take away from the running backs in today's practice?
Yeah, I would agree with you with Kedron too. Just we didn't get to see enough of him to just be like, oh, he's going to be this or that. But I definitely saw just enough of him to be like, oh, he's healthy. Like he looks good. Like that from that perspective. Javian Osborne made one cut on one run that I thought was the most explosive thing I saw from any running back today. So that's always a good thing. I don't know like what that means for anything for this year, but I'm just saying like it looked darn good. I thought Aeneas looked fantastic. I thought he looked really, really good. And that catch was a great catch, but just overall, he's always been a very good, decisive runner. Like I think he reads it really, really well, and he sticks his foot in the ground and explodes. But he had that one play today, great down block by Cam Heron on it. And he read off it perfect, and boom, and was like up the field in a hurry. And it's the kind of thing that you can't see him like finish the play because there are guys who are going to try to tackle him at the second level. But at the angles that they would have got him at, he's probably breaking those tackles, and it's breaking off a long run. And that only happens because of how he exploded.
How fast he hit it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is something that I think that's a Jadarian Price type of play. When I think of that, like boom, like 0 to 60 kind of thing, that's Jadarian Price. Now, he's not quite Jadarian Price, but I'm just saying that's the way it kind of looked. And I thought Nolan James is just a really good, talented player and a guy who's got great feet. And I thought just watching him as a receiver, he looks like he could play slot. Like he's a really, really talented receiver. Like him and Aeneas are very similar, where they just look like guys. They don't look like backs in terms of size wise, they look like backs, but just in terms of how they catch the ball, more so than anything, they just catch the ball. Like there's no bodying it. It's like these guys just snatch it.
Yeah.
And it's just very natural for them. And I think both those guys are going to be weapons for Notre Dame in the pass game, where I think you might see a little bit of tight end production go to backs in that way.
I think, speaking of, catching the ball and everything, and we'll get into the wide receivers right now. I think there was maybe a couple of drops all day, and only one that was like really bad. The other ones were kind of like, half drops, right? Like, maybe you should catch it, but it's kind of a tough catch, right? Like it's not a flat out disaster, right? There was only one like that. And we'll get to it in a second. Speaking of Walton did do some team stuff. So he wasn't on the other field the entire time. He did do some team reps when I think they were doing it wasn't team. It was 7-on-7. He did some 7-on-7 stuff. So he was with them. I didn't see Osborne do any of that, but that's expected because he was hurt all spring. So right. So he didn't really do a bunch of stuff, but physically, like you said, they look like really good players. They look like guys. Right. And so, and that's kind of true of everybody. That was another thing that we noticed. Like, I don't know that there was anyone today who was like, obviously, he's not going to play at Notre Dame. I don't know that they had a guy like that truly. So I think that's also pretty rare.
I mean, I'm not going to single them out. There are like two guys that I'm like, they got some catching up to do. And they're not freshmen because I don't judge freshmen that way. There are two guys like that. But
I was referring to younger. I was referring to younger players, by the way.
But two guys out of like I'm telling you, it used to be like 15 to 20 guys that you're like,
Yeah.
if this guy plays, it's probably going to be a problem for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And eventually some of those guys have to play because of injuries. And a lot of times it ends up being a problem. And they're just not in that mode anymore.
Yeah. Let's talk about the wideouts. Faison looked good. Nothing really to say on him. I mean, he just looks great doing everything. That's that. We talked about Greathouse. He caught a bunch of passes in team. Caught some passes in 7-on-7. Looked good again. Never did get vertical on anything, but it's also very hard to do against this defense. It's just not kind of available. Let's talk about Micah Gilbert real quick. So I think that he's kind of a polarizing figure within, I guess, Notre Dame fans or whatever it might be. We were talking today. We were getting lunch and we were preparing for this podcast. And I'm writing up the 1-on-1s and 7-on-7 in team. And Micah Gilbert, I think, caught a pass. It was a slant against zone, so it wasn't against a particular player. I mean, he caught a bunch of passes in Indy and stuff. But like, you know, if you just look at it, like incomplete. And I was telling you, like, with what the routes that they had him running against Leonard Moore in press coverage, I don't know what a good practice even looks like. They tried to run, they're in press in the boundary, and they tried to run like a 5-yard in. That's not getting completed. Leonard Moore is not going to give up a catch to any player. It running that kind of route in press coverage in one way, like never. The other route that you could say Micah Gilbert should have caught was a 5-yard like stop route, like kind of an outside, kind of like they threw it to the outside shoulder. And to be fair, the ball did hit him in the chest. And Leonard Moore, first of all, Leonard Moore's all over him, but the ball did hit him in the chest and he dropped it. He needs to catch it. Okay, so there's that. But also, in a game, that ball is never getting thrown. It's never. I mean, you wouldn't throw it because it's Leonard Moore, and B, he's all over him. He's not open. It's, you know, so to me, I just, if you want to try to beat Leonard Moore in 1-on-1s, like you got to try to get him on some kind of some kind of deeper route where you can try to get separation. You're never getting separation. You're only running 5 yards. So, you know, I thought he caught the ball well. Like I watched him during Indy and all that. I thought he caught the ball really well. Yeah. I thought he caught the ball great. You know, he wasn't juggling the ball. He wasn't unsure of himself. I thought he looked good. So it's very hard for me to get on a guy like Leonard or like a guy like Micah Gilbert when he's going against Leonard Moore and running the type of routes that they're trying to throw at him. It's just too much.
Well, and I mean, just look at every boundary receiver that Notre Dame has had in the last few years, and you got to go against Ben Morrison and Leonard Moore in practice every day. You know, it's not the greatest matchup. It's like Ben Morrison literally never got beat deep once in his career. Like literally never. It never happened. No one could ever he was like running in phase like he was walking, and guys were trying to like running their hardest, and it was just like he's on their hip. Like it's just what it was. And if people recall last year, Malachi Fields, people were excited about Malachi Fields based off of Virginia, not based on anything. And he looks great in the summer.
Yeah.
Which, if you look at what Mark Freeman said about Micah Gilbert, had as good as a summer as anyone on the team. So, seems pretty good. I don't care about the first day and him not whatever. And frankly, too, if we don't hear that he just had this amazing camp, like that's okay with me. It still has to be proven on Saturdays, anyways. But I mean, we'll talk about the whole group and then some other things because I know there's some other stuff with the boundary that I want to kind of get into. But yeah, I just don't think it's one of these things where, like I was saying to Greg offline before, that we used to get access enough where we'd see like a certain player, we get like 4 full practices in the spring, and then we get 5 in the summer.
Fall, yeah.
And so when you get that, it's not like, yeah, we're not there every day, but you see enough to get an idea and say, well, out of those days, out of those 7-day practices or whatever it is, 6 of them are really good. I'm going to say you can feel pretty confident that that guy is going to be a good player.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you might go to a practice and you get 7 practices. Well, 2 are good. I think you can say with confidence that you're like, I'm not confident in this guy. I didn't see enough. He only had flashes or whatever. We just don't see enough. And when we do hear good things, I don't know, like we're supposed to ignore them. Like, so yeah. I don't know. To me, everything I saw from him, just like when you just see him move and run around, I'm like, physically, he looks great. He looks great. Caught the ball really well. And you want to hear about him having this kind of like breakout kind of fall camp, which is great. But I don't really care about whether or not he had a big day today because, like a guy like Mylan Graham, who had monster days in spring, it's a pretty quiet day for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, Ray Horton. Great day to be a Notre Dame fan. Hope you guys are doing well. Our guy Ray's buzzing right now. He's going from podcast to podcast. We're happy to have you, Ray. He's super fired up right now. I'm fired up right now. Let's talk more wide receivers. You mentioned Mylan Graham. Quiet day, but also like made a like kind of a short post corner route against Adon Schuler. Caught a pass in 1-on-1s. That was really good. He caught that post in the 7-on-7 period where he went up and got the ball over the middle. I thought that was a nice play.
Yeah, it was a really nice play.
Just moves different, I mean, and we noted, and I think it was a team period where they had Greathouse at the boundary and they had Faison and Graham out there too. What I got to think that we're going to see a ton of that. And these aren't stupid people, like these guys know what they're doing. You got to get that. That's very dangerous, and getting that group out there, there's just a lot you got to worry about if it's those 3 guys. It's just like, that's the one that you're just, whenever my ears kind of perk up when I see those 3 players out there. I just think that's the way to go a lot of the time if you're Notre Dame trying to push the ball down the field or trying to do whatever. It's just, there's a lot of varied skill sets you got out there with those guys.
Yeah, and I think if, at least coming into camp, I think everyone, anyone who covers the team would say that those are the 3 best guys.
Yeah. As
of today, those are the 3 best guys. And I think it's a lot different because we've also seen, we saw Graham play in the slot a lot in the spring and look great. I do think he's a natural field, but he looked great in the slot. Faison, we've seen him play in the field last year. Looked really good. He, I think, has a chance to be more explosive and a bigger playmaker out of the slot. Greathouse, obviously, he can play the slot, can do that. But I also think he's one of those guys who could start at any one of those positions. And it's different because when he was a freshman and he had to play boundary for X amount of games because they didn't have anybody, it's a lot different when you're a senior and you're, 200 pound freshman, and now you're like a 215, 220 pound senior doing it. And I think it's one of those things that it changes what you could do with him there. So I hope we do see that, and I hope they experiment with it, and we'll see what they do with who are the starters. And I definitely think too, because I think we can transition into the Porter thing too, because regardless of Gilbert or whether or not you think he's starter or whatever, Quincy Porter is not going to play early on. He's just not ready. There's no way. You just don't see somebody, and I know there's still like weeks until they play. Like there's like a month basically. But when we were talking about KVA and Ashton Craig and how those guys are moving and how they were like working in with the ones and all that kind of stuff, even Elijah Burris, who's coming off a hammy, right? He would leave the bike area and all that, like the where he's getting his work in with the strength conditioning team, trying to strengthen up, and come for like the walkthrough periods and work with the juice and all of that. So he's still very much in the mix. Quincy Porter is not in that mix right now. And we saw him in warm-ups and it was obvious. It was just obvious. He cannot explode like off of it. Was like false stepping or whatever. He's whatever it is with his knee, he is not confident in it yet, or not strong enough, or whatever. Like, and physically, if you stood him up there and just put him in the uniform, you'd look and say, yeah, he looks like a dude. But he doesn't move like that right now because he's not fully recovered, which I almost think maybe he's not quite in the, like, so for anyone who's wondering about Charles Jagasaw, yeah, he's like in a t-shirt today with like guys like Tiki Hola and other guys who were
no brace, so, no brace, notable. He didn't have anything on his arms.
No brace. He didn't have anything so that's a good thing. Notable. That is a good thing. But he's not doing any of that, any of the stuff that you're like, hey, he's close to playing. And Porter looked closer to that than he did to a guy like KVA and Craig of where he's at. So I think that's just, if you're thinking about, well, can Porter help this year? I don't know. We get back to us when he's able to actually practice fully and do stuff, because until then, how can you even say, for Raymond say they need him mid-October, you might not need him at all. Like, it's true. They might not need him at all, but you'd want him to be back at some point this year. But I just don't know when that is. And, you know, they would say everyone's got their own journey and whatever. And that's true. He is, all we can do is just give our opinion based on what we saw today. And he does not look anywhere close to that. And I do think that, like, that maybe if he was close, then you would think, okay, well, no, because we want it to be Porter versus Gilbert there.
Yeah.
But because I don't think he's close, I think that does open the door for Greathouse. Because if you think about that too, by the way, Jerome Bettis Jr., he looked pretty good. Made a really great catch today.
Like the wide receivers today were easily the most like fascinating position group of the whole team, in my opinion. And we're going to continue, but like Jerome Bettis Jr. made plays today, with legit plays.
He's made the biggest 1 year jump, I think, of anyone on the team. I think just from a physical, total standpoint, I think he's made a huge jump.
Yeah. I mean, like, okay. So there, to me, I'm going to get to Porter in a second. To me, there's the top four guys, right? There's Gilbert, there's Greathouse, there's Faison, and there's Graham. To me, those are easily the top four. Then there's when I say top four, I'm not this isn't me my opinion, and I'm talking in terms of reps now. Okay, you have Bubba Frazier, who took 1 reps, and you have Cam Williams, who took 1 reps. I mean, he would just come in, right, and still with CJ Carr, right, and so Cam Williams would be out there at times with Faison and Greathouse, you know. Bubba Frazier would be out there with Faison and Gilbert or Williams or whoever, and CJ Carr's throwing the ball. You're muted again. So like those are like the 6 that got you. I was shocked at how many reps Cam Williams got today. Okay,
yeah,
like he got so many reps. Bubba Frazier got so many reps. So like, given how much that work they got, I'd be stunned if they didn't play in games. Like, you know, a lot. The thing, Cam Williams, like, I haven't seen Denbrock's quotes on Cam. All I know is that he might have got the most reps of anyone today. at wide receiver. He got a ton of work. He had the single best rep in one-on-ones, in my opinion, by far. He flat dropped the pass. It is a tragedy that he dropped. He ran a 15-yard square in dig route against DJ McKinney. And when I tell you, he exploded up the field and cut off this route so clean. McKinney was not close to him. And it's not like I haven't seen the recording of it. I honestly couldn't blame him. Like in a one-on-one, if a receiver runs, and he's also playing off coverage, if a receiver runs it that clean, you're gonna get cooked, and he did. And I was like, whoa, like what a perfect throw, flat drops the ball. It was a tragedy. It was such a good route. Yes,
I'll just add what Denbrock said. It's to me, it's just exactly telling it like it is. It wasn't good or bad. It's just on what's next for Cam Williams. It's consistency. He struggled that, unfortunately, up to this point, and I think he's in a position to turn the corner. We try to support as much as we can, give him the tools necessary to help him push over the edge, but ultimately, he's got to be the guy who does it. It's truth. That's just what
absolutely true. I mean, and that's what we saw on that. That's exactly right. Like, just catch the ball, man.
And he also too, I think that's his thing, because you would just say too, and probably a lot with Bo Collins too, is if Bo Collins could catch the ball consistently, he would have been a way better player, like light years better. But he always had problems dropping the football, and it's just and that is a fact. And that was at Clemson, and it was at Notre Dame, and it was the same thing. And they were like costly drops a lot of the times, right? So Cam Williams, physically, he could be dynamic. Like he really has they threw a bunch of slants to him today, and he is someone who could take a slant and take it 60. And he has that ability because he's a guy who can run through a tackle. He's a guy who can run away from people. And that's why he was a top 50 prospect in high school. But a lot of stuff he did in high school was, I'm going to catch this bubble. I'm going to catch this jailbreak scheme. I'm going to run a reverse or whatever, right? So, or run a go route, and that's it. And you just can't do that all the time in college, especially not in this offense. So, if he wants to be somebody who, I think it says a lot, like you said, that they are giving him those reps because, like Denbrock said, he's close to turning a corner. And to me, he did look like that. This is the best he's looked in any practice overall. But, he had that drop. He double caught the ball a couple times. He might actually just be a guy that's like, get the laser eye surgery, man. Like it might be, seriously, it could be. Yeah. But like, honestly, if he could catch the ball more consistently, he has a chance to be a dude. Like,
because what is my thing with him has always been, what is he if he's not like getting deep? He looked like a wide receiver today. Like he caught a bunch of slants today. He caught another in traffic little 5-yard curl route where the ball was put on him. The coverage was right on him, and he hung onto the ball, right? Like, that's a wide receiver play, And so, like, to me, he did a lot of wide receiver stuff where it's like, hey, now it's literally just catch the ball. Whereas before, I think it was a whole host of other things. So to his credit, like, he's put in a ton of work to get to this point, but he has to do the last thing. Like, he's got to catch the ball, and obviously that's huge. Bubba Frazier, I mean, he looks good, man. Like, he's
impressive.
They gave him a ton of reps. Those little short inside routes. There was a play in, I think it was 7-on-7 or team where Talek tried to jump a pass, missed it, and Frazier gets the ball. And it's like, I put in my notes, like,
boom.
It's a ton of yak. Like, if this is a game, this is a huge yak play for him. And that's what happens when you have a player like him. So I think he's going to play a lot. Like, there's just no way they're not going to put him in the game with the amount of reps that they're giving him. That's the thing. On Quincy Porter, for me, I mean, like I said, in dynamic warm-up, I was standing next to you. I was like, he's limping. Like, yeah, I'm actually super curious as to what is actually going. I'm shocked that they practiced him with the way that he was favoring his leg. I mean, I could not like it, he looked unstable. It didn't like he
He
didn't
was
look
like
like
limping back to after running a drill. He's like limping back to the group.
yeah. I mean, credit to him for going out there and
Yeah.
pushing it and getting the work in. Like he did every rep of Indy, he did all of it. He didn't do any team. He was not involved in any team. And credit to him for going out there and battling and putting the work in, you know.
And maybe that's the thing he needs to do to help strengthen. I don't know,
Right,
right?
right. I'm
not a whatever. I'm not a physio.
And I don't know
like,
what's even going on. Like I'm just saying, like I was stunned at the fact, like if KVA was out there limping like this, I'd be like, get him off the field. Like, what's not going on? And maybe him going out and like you said, it is part of strengthening his leg or whatever. Okay. I'm not questioning the training staff in any way with this. I was surprised that he was so labored. But even in saying that, like it's also so clear about what a physical talent this player is. Like he's still on 1.5 legs is gliding out there. I mean, he is a very impressive athlete. And so I get it, you know, and if for me, it's like, man, if this guy gets healthy, there's something there because he's a very impressive.
There's a reason why they took him. Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason why he's a 5-star, you know, it just, but I don't, like you said, I don't know. He just doesn't, he's like I said, he's limping in a way that like KVA, totally fine. Ashton Craig, who we'll get to the line in a sec, like he's taking 1 reps with team, looked totally fine. You know, Kedron Young looked good from the injured guys. Elijah Burris was again limited with the hamstring thing. We didn't see him in doing really anything. But yeah, Quincy Porter, I mean, that's the deal. He's not healthy right now.
Yeah.
And hopefully he can get there. Someone asked about Devin Fitzgerald. He didn't do any team stuff. He did do one-on-ones. He had a very good rep against Kari Adams. He got
team stuff with the 1s and 2s. We should mention. Yeah.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. He did. Yeah. He did team on the other field is what I mean. Not on the side. So I can't speak to the way that he performed in that scenario. And one-on-ones, he had a very good rep against Kari Adams. He got over the top on him. The ball was overthrown. But I mean, got separation up the sideline, ran away from him. Kari Adams immediately out of phase, never got back in phase. I mean, Kari Adams physically looks great. It's just, I mean, it's his first practice, and Devin Fitzgerald's been on campus since January or February, or what it is. So you would kind of understand why that's going on. Anything else on the wide receivers? What am I missing? Wait. We didn't mention Matt Jeffrey.
Oh yeah.
Bad job by me. Listen, if you go to practice and a guy makes multiple plays in team, you're going to mention it. Like,
and he's with the top group.
He's with the top group. He didn't do
this.
He's a
sophomore too, so he's not it's not like he's like, oh, he's a senior, so we're giving him this. It's like, no.
I mean,
that means he earned it.
He caught a slant. He caught an out route where he makes a diving catch. And then he caught a deeper ball that he goes up and catches it. He's out of bounds. And we talked about it too. Like if the ball was in bounds, then the DB probably breaks it up because the DB's not playing him out of bounds. The DB's playing him for the sideline, right? So it's an incomplete pass. But he still made plays. And look, if it was, I don't know, if it was a freshman doing it, we would mention it, right? One of these guys. So you got to mention it. I mean, he went out there and made plays. Like I think if they put him in a game, they might throw the ball. They might throw it to him, you know? So it's just something you got to note. You go to these practices, you got to say what happens.
He looked really good.
Yeah.
He looked really good. And I mean, it's not shocking because anyone who's watched the guy play lacrosse, like he's an absolute stud on the lacrosse field. And, you know, there's Jordan Faison. obviously Dylan Faison is another really good athlete too. Like, and there's just a lot of like crossover between the two in terms of just like athleticism and all that too. He's got a chance to help the team this year. Like, and I don't think it's based off of just like one day. I think it's just because he wouldn't be in the position to make those plays if he wasn't there. And frankly, it's just how it works. It's like, let's just say somebody was cooking with the 3s and 4s today. Well, they might be with the 2s tomorrow. Like that's usually how it works. And also too, guys get banged up, nicked up during camp, and it gives opportunities to other guys too. So that's definitely something to monitor.
Yep, we're monitoring. I said this is going to be a long one, and we're an hour in, and we're only at wide receivers. So we're strap in, folks. We got a lot going on.
Some of the stuff is going to go quicker because in a non-padded practice, there's more to see with the skill guys.
Yeah. Tight end, saw a lot of Cooper Flammang, saw a lot of Ty Washington, a lot of 85. Why am I forgetting his name? I'm so annoyed.
Jack Larson.
Jack Larson. Yes. Gosh, that's such a disaster for me. Bad job by me. Not a lot of Ian Premer. And here's the thing. The guy walks in and it's like, man, he looks incredible. Like he truly does. Okay. He absolutely looks great. We didn't see him in one-on-ones. We didn't see him in 7-on-7, and we didn't see him in team. He was on the other field. So I can't say he's going to be the next anything because he wasn't with the main group. Like I literally didn't. I saw him catch a couple passes like during Indy and stuff, but beyond that, like we didn't really see him. So I can't make bold predictions about him other than obviously everyone's. I mean, the fact that he's a great looking player is not any sort of analysis. Everyone notices that, right? But he just like if he's got a lot of catching up to do is what I would say based on the fact that they didn't put him with the team.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Denbrock was, effusive in his praise of like his talent. But that's not, surprising at all.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's an athletic freak and he's tough as nails.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I do think he was the punt protector, one of the punt protectors.
Yeah.
They're going to fake a punt to him.
Yeah.
At least one.
Yeah.
He will probably score an 80-yard touchdown off a fake punt or something like that. Like that is definitely in the cards for him regardless of what he does with the offense. I think he's a guy who, and also too, he's the only way that he ever stays 5 years. Well, first of all, you might as well play him anyways, because now the whole 5 for 5 thing.
Right.
But the only way he stays 5 years is if injuries or something happens, because he's probably a 3-year guy based on just talent. So he's 3 or 4 years. So you got to try to maximize everything you can. It's up to him to kind of catch up to get where he's at. But he said, and I'll just say really quickly too, because Preston Friesel, you didn't same kind of thing. He's not really in the mix or whatever. He did he's added weight and he looks better.
He's bigger.
He's looked legit 230 now. Still moving really well. Just, yeah. So still excited about that guy's future too. So, yeah, I would say, Vamos of the law firm of Flammang. Let me first say Ty Washington looked pretty good catching the ball today.
I think he caught 3 or 4 passes in the team periods. And to be also, the tight ends did not do one-on-ones today. They were down doing the run fits with the O-line. So that's something to mention as well.
And so all that kind of stuff too, when we're talking about like any kind of run blocking and stuff too, you can't judge it on these days when it's
right,
because you're supposed to go at a certain speed and like a certain tempo for this, so basically nobody gets hurt, but nobody goes at the exact right tempo that, because everyone's got a different level.
Right.
And so you can't judge anything based on like, hey, this is how they block today, or this is how somebody, whatever. So, I mean, Cooper Flammang is obviously a monster as a blocker, and it's going to make it do a lot of good things there. I would say too, I didn't see him catch the ball in any other kind. I don't even know if they threw the ball to him. I didn't notice it in any 7-on stuff. Mm-hmm. Ty Washington looked good catching the ball. Had a little bit more juice than I've seen from him after the catch.
Yeah.
And James Flammang, he looks good. Physically, he looks really good. Like, he's 6'6", 253 now. I think he was like 237 or something last year. He definitely looks like he put on good weight, and he looks like he could probably even get any more, but he probably doesn't have to.
Yeah.
But he still moves like the exact same like he moved before. So he is just someone, and he talk about tough as nails. That guy's tough as nails too. So he caught one ball today, and he got to do a little bit after the catch, and you can see him run, and you're like, man, this guy, like he looks, to me, he looks like a faster Eli Raridon after the catch, like a faster, because he's the same kind of size where you're like, man, this guy's just a big dude that's going to be big and athletic, but he's faster than him. So I don't know. I think it's still TBD to see whether or not how they're used in the passing game. And I know people are just kind of, well, it's going to be Bremer and he's going to add this. It might be. But I still got to see how, like, CJ Carr attacking over the middle. The one throw he made to Washington today, I thought was his best throw of the day. Actually. Yeah. Just a seed in there, just right over the middle.
Yeah.
So that is, something that I thought was like, don't really remember him doing too much of that in practice before. Mm-hmm. Just making that kind of throw over the middle.
Yeah, the only tight end to catch a pass today was Washington, who caught multiple, and then the one to Flammang, which he did get a chance to run after, but on that play, that was one where if in a game, Ethan Long would have sent him into the stratosphere. I mean, like, Blake Hebert, don't throw that pass. Like, that is not safe. But he did.
He had a couple of those over the middle today that I was like, oh no.
Yeah. I mean, the one to Mylan Graham might have been not safe.
Mylan would have been, I think, concussed. Yeah. If that was, and not even anything doing anyone dirty. It was just like, in order to get that ball, something bad was going to happen.
Yeah. But it just wasn't a tight end day today. It wasn't for them, especially in the passing game, because they didn't get to do the one-on-ones because they were with the O-line. Offensive line and defensive line are just going to be impressions, I think, of, like movement and stuff. Because again, without pads, they're not doing anything. Did they even do one-on-ones? I don't think so.
They did not do one-on-ones.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the one-on-ones for
I was waiting for it, right?
Yeah.
They didn't do one-on-ones today, so there wasn't any of that. They did run fits, which is basically like inside run without doing anything.
Yeah. And that's a defensive drill anyway.
It's a defensive drill. Just quick, we'll just go over like the, first team. So when they were doing run fits, Craig was not taking part in that. And then Otting was the center. And then they had exact same thing they had in all spring, right? With the ones, Knapp at left guard, Will Black at left tackle, Sullivan Absher at right guard, and Gerby Lambert at right tackle. Second team, Strebig at right tackle or right guard. They switched him and Matty Augustine. They had Chris Tarrick at center and Cam Herron, who I think they want, because it's really probably going to be Otting, who's the second team center. Mm-hmm. They had Cam Herron at left guard. And I think that's because he's not a third team guy. Like, he's too good to be a third team guy. And so he's definitely in the top 10 out of there. So he deserves to kind of be in the mix there further. and then they had Styles Prescott at left tackle, and everybody else, so on and so forth. I think Matty Augustine, just want to mention, I do think he's going to be in the mix at right guard. I think him and Absher, that's going to be a battle there. And the only thing I'll say about a freshman, and it's something I've talked about it before, but Matt and I both made note of it, like Sullivan Garvin looks just physically really impressive. Mm-hmm. Really impressive. Built a lot different than every other center. Like, just more like a bigger Ashton Craig, like a bigger version of Ashton Craig, and he is plenty athletic. And Rudolph really praised him on this one rep today. Like, really got excited about something he was doing there when he really popped this guy. So, not a lot to go off of there. But we'll see as we kind of go forward, how it works out there with Craig back, and at right guard.
Yeah. D-line wise, I mean, Boubacar
looks good.
Looks amazing. I mean, he could be in a NFL camp. I think we talked about that last week. He could be in an NFL camp. I mean, that's an NFL player on Notre Dame's roster. Bryce Young looks a lot better, right? Just like physically more mature. That's good. Tion Gray is huge. I mean, he's just a big boy. Francis Brew. And the thing about him is he was another guy where it was like, man, he means business. Like he's here to work. He's not messing around. Armel Mukum. Listen. Never wrong, just early. Jamie Uyeyama. I mean, but I see the floor.
Did I not?
I see. Look, listen. I see the floor, Jamie. This is your moment. All right. Let's tell the people what you saw from your beautiful boy, your beautiful Canadian boy, Armel Mukum out there.
Okay. I'm not even doing this to take a victory lap or anything, because I knew he was physically, he just has talent.
Yeah.
And of course that doesn't always translate. And it obviously didn't translate enough last year because it didn't happen. But I think if you're coming into the first day at camp, and so, they had regular starting ends, they had Young and Boubacar out there at end, and Francis Brew and Armel Mukum were the first team defensive tackles. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be the first team for the start of the season or anything like that, but that means both those guys had a heck of a summer. That's and they obviously had both good springs too. But if they're rolling with the first team, and they weren't working guys in the first team, it was just them. And it's not to say they're going to rotate plenty of guys, but that's how they had it today. They were the first team defensive tackles, and both Mukum and Brew looked really good, just explosive, just really just quick and strong and violent. And I think Mukum, you just see it's the same thing with Bryce Young too, where it's like they're playing to their size now and playing to that physical ability. And that's not an easy thing to do, because it's not a natural thing to get down in a stance and fire off and stay low and play with leverage and punch and control and whatever. Like, that is something, it takes time to do that. Even for the most coordinated dudes, it's not something that happens like all the time. And I think you just saw today, just like those guys, it's like, man, they're just, it's not quite, where you're like, man, these guys are all going to be first round picks, but it's like, they got a chance to be dudes. Like, that's what it is. And I'll say too, like, Jason Onye, so it's like, well, what about Onye? He had such a great breakout. He looked really good too. I thought it was the most explosive I've seen him in practice. Just really, really explosive, just like a problem as a pass rusher. Brew had one great play where they were running a T stunt and he got a sack where he knocked over Gerby Lambert. It was really, really impressive. But Onye, knocked down a ball in pass, had plenty of pressures. Yeah. Was looked really good. Gray, like you said, he's a beast. There, Elijah Hughes was working in with the twos. Sean Saviano was working in the twos. Sean Saviano, I mentioned earlier that he slimmed down quite a bit.
So Vamos made a comment here. I want Sean Civiano to pop off for the storyline. I know it won't happen, but I want it. Listen, we're monitoring. Sean Civiano is monitoring because, like you said, he slimmed down physically. When a player puts in that much work to shape their body like that, that's not easy. So that shows a level of intent that we're monitoring Sean Civiano. Please continue, Jamie. I didn't want to. I wanted to note that from Vamos and just say, like, I'm Civiano is someone I'm going to be tracking throughout the camp.
Yeah, Nate, I just mentioned Elijah Hughes.
Yeah, Elijah Hughes looks like a man. I mean, he looks like a man. So he's got man strength stuff going on. He's going to be involved.
I think just the thing is right now is honestly, they probably have just like 6 guys who can really who are capable of playing now. And, whether or not which guys end up being the top guys, I mean, my bet is on Brew is going to be definitely one of the top guys. Like everything I saw from last year, everything I've seen from so far. Yeah. And it's tough not to think that, like, if you were just going to say today, yeah, I get it why the 4 guys that I first mentioned, would be the top 4. But yeah, Hughes looks really good. And we seen him last year. He's a good player. And Civiano, like, I think he is a strong kid. And he is like different in terms of just like mass and stuff too, that he's carrying. So, and way more explosive than you would think for a guy at that. And he's always kind of had that. It's just one of those things where they just, it's Chris Ash kind of mentioned it too. People thought, oh, maybe this is going to be a problem for Notre Dame. And they're just deeper. And just to kind of bring in too, Keon Keeley, I thought he looked really good today. I thought he looked better and just playing faster than he did in the spring. And I thought that was noticeable. Also noticeable too, that Keon Keeley, 3 years ago, Keon Keeley would have walked out of the Shields hall, and then you would have just said, oh, look at this guy. And he's just one of the guys now, because that's how they look like physically, and forget about all the dudes that they're going to sign in this other class too. Like, that's just kind of more of the look. And that's just different than where they were and where they even were just a couple years ago, even. It's been a huge transformation of what they have physically there. So I don't know, like, it's tough to say, put anyone else on the, like, hey, Boubacar's level, but I'm not counting out that there might be some guys reaching that kind of level, this year. And that really, like, all of a sudden we're seeing it really kind of take off under Charlie Partridge.
Yeah. Let's talk about the backup to Boubacar. Today it was Logan Thomas. We didn't see Dunham, and we didn't see Ewatade. They were on the other field. Are you surprised by that?
I was a bit surprised that we didn't see
at least Dunham.
At least Dunham with that. But I don't know what the situation is, because if you kind of look at how most of it is, it's kind of like, and no shots at Chris Tarek, but I don't expect him to be, if Otting was the starting center in game 1, I don't expect Chris Tarek to be the next guy in at center for there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
even though he's with the 2s today. So, and I would but he's also older than some of the other guys. So, and I think especially at the start of camp, you kind of give every opportunity for the older guys to say, like, this is your spot, protect it. You want to move up, you can move up, but this is your spot. And this is, to me, it's kind of like, this is it for Logan Thomas. Like, this is your chance right now to really do it. Obviously, it's one of these things too, where you can't see anything, like, on a day where, like, they're not running trap at Logan Thomas on a day with no pads, right? So he's not having to deal with that. So you can't really judge based on like that kind of thing with him. Yeah, he's a twitchy kid. He's a good athlete. He is still very small. He's still very small, and I don't even think it's from lack of effort. I just don't think he's going to be a guy I just don't think he has the frame that he's ever going to put on the kind of weight. Because even if you think about like Boubacar doesn't quite have the same frame as a lot of the other guys. He is more of like thinly built, more narrow than some of the other guys. But he still like carries it longer, and he's longer, and and his just legs are bigger, and he's got wider hips and stuff too. So there's just a little bit more there. And that's just not the case with Thomas. And I mean, Dunham he looks fantastic physically. Thought he looked really good in the spring too, just in general. I think he's going to be there. And Ewatade will be interesting to kind of see because I think he did. He clearly looks better now than he did in the spring, and I want to see kind of where he's at. But when they were doing run fits, it was Dunham and Ewatade who were with the 3s, and Hulak and Rafe were with the 4s. So I think it's safe to say Hulak and Rafe, they're on the back burner.
Yeah.
Like they're not, if something's got to happen for them in camp to make a jump to get over the 2 freshmen.
Yeah.
And, as for Junior Tuihalamaka, he's not out there. I think there is a chance he could end up playing for Notre Dame this year. But he also wasn't someone who was like, he was just in an NFL camp and then he's whatever. It's like, no, he was like done. So he's got to get into the right shape. He also had, I believe he had a pec injury at the end of the year that I think he got taken care of and whatever, but I don't know where his status is there. So it's not a guarantee that if he came in, it's just like throw him in. He's the second team right now. Like,
yeah,
I don't think that. He obviously can play, he can play, but it's not, there's nothing set in stone that it's a given that he's going to come in and be there and play and be ready by this time and whatever. Right. And frankly too, as much as he could short-term help, what if you just feel like, what are we going to block Rodney Dunham from playing because of Junior Tuihalamaka?
Right.
Like they have to weigh all of these kind of options in there too.
Right.
So I don't think it's I don't think he's like, it's definitely done. Like that he's not going to come back. But I also don't think anyone who's like, oh yeah, he's coming back. It's not a slam dunk.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Dunham that just kind of occurred to me, and maybe this is the case with Priemer, is all the team stuff we saw today was very offensive oriented in the sense of like just running some of the basic stuff and just getting it out there, the assignment wise. The defense didn't do any like stunting. They're not trying to blow up the play because there's no pads, right? Like you're not actually blocking. And I think it's just like getting your assignments down and all that stuff. Dunham can do that on the other field.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. I just have to interrupt really quick too.
Yeah.
Because this is one thing. Al Golden on day one, no pads? No. We're bringing the house.
That did not happen today.
7-man pressure, cover 0. Let's go. Like it just was like,
yeah,
that was like day one.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry.
That was not the case today. They did not do that today. It was
for most people, it's not the case.
Yeah. Right. And it didn't need to be. But I think in that circumstance, get Dunham on the other field and give him a bunch more reps. Because
he probably got a ton of reps.
If he was with the big group, he's not getting that many reps.
He barely got any reps today.
And that's probably true. That's probably true of Priemer as well. It's more important that you get reps over there. It's this, honestly, it's the same thing for Walton. It's the same thing for Osborne. The reps are more important than working with the first group right now because they need to get the assignments right. It's the basic stuff, but it's also the stuff that like you have to know it before you can try it out against the top players, right? So that's something as well. When you're not in pads, you don't need to. There's no physical. Let's see how Rodney Dunham does against Will Black today. Like he's not even going against him really. So they didn't even do one-on-ones. So they're not testing him. Go learn over there, get your assignments down, and then we'll come over here when we're doing some real stuff. Yeah, that's kind of how I took it. And that just kind of occurred to me right now. David Mraz was asking about Kedron Young. We talked about him like an hour ago. So you can go back. Let's stay here. Stay here and listen into the rest of this, and then go back later and listen to the Kedron Young part. Long story short, we thought he looked good. It was a good day for him. There's someone made I think it was Vamos who made a joke about Logan Thomas being the same weight. Okay. Vamos says Logan, same weight as the punter Thomas. Let's talk about Jasper Scaife real quick. Okay. Yeah. Because, okay, so they come out in the punt team, right? And it's punt team. And it's one of those things like I was like, oh, let's write down who's returning punts. Okay. And for those who are interested in that, it was Faison, it was Greathouse, it was Dallas Golden, and it was Aeneas Williams. No one dropped a punt. But anyway, that's where I was like, oh, who's punt returners? They sent out, they snapped the ball. This kid kicks it. And I'm going to tell you what, this made a sound that I don't know that this might have been a 60-yard punt. Just like way up in the air. It turned over. I mean, this thing was in the air forever. And I was like, whoa, like I could not believe how loud it was and how high and just like spiraling this thing went through the air. I was stunned. And this is what it was. I think he had like 3 or 4 punts after that. They were all this way. They all sounded the same. They were all booming. Just like, wow. If you could ever be wowed by a punter.
His worst punt was awesome. Yeah. It's true.
If anyone has ever been like wowed by a punter, then I was today. I
think everyone was.
I mean, you couldn't help not to be. I mean, it was like the noise was just so definitive.
Yeah.
So I didn't know when to bring him up, but I think now's a good time.
Yeah. I will say that I had some inside information on the, straight up. I'm not Matt Freeman with all my sources the same way, but I did have some inside information about Jasper before he even arrived, and that he was going to be like, he was like miles ahead of where James Rendell was. Like, he's like, and he's like the most talented guy that this person who really knows punting had ever seen.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like, let's go. I mean, kind of lived up to expectations today. And I mentioned in my practice report too, because I played with a guy at Idaho State, Eddie Johnson, who was an incredible punter.
Yeah,
like he was an All-American. He's an All-American. He was a sixth round pick. First of all, just any pick, if you're get punter and you get selected in the NFL, you're darn good. And also drove an El Camino, one of the coolest guys you ever made in your life. Super and great dude.
Yeah.
But he's the only other guy that I've ever heard, like, you could hear the ball coming off their foot in a similar way.
Yeah.
But I almost rate it different because we used to play in a indoor stadium. So when you would hear it, it could kind of like echo a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the same kind of thing where it was like, oh my God, like he just crushed this. And just like, I'd never seen anybody punt like that until today.
Yeah.
And it was pretty insane. He's looks like he's going to be an absolute weapon.
Yeah, I mean, the full bomba, like just true bomba time from him. So that was, notable. Linebackers, not the biggest day for them given the situation.
No pads, yeah.
Drake Bowen looked great.
Look good.
I think
Very good.
KVA looked good. I mean, he's going to be ready. I think. I mean, I think honestly, I think he believes he's ready now. I mean, again, when you're not wearing a brace, you feel like you're ready to go. So there's that. I think Manfremo physically looked awesome. I think he like slimmed down a little bit, looks strong, looks fast, looks big. So he's another one who's just very excited about him. Jalen Sneed, we talked about, like, looked good. Just like kind of how he always looks, right? Like I think Jalen Sneed's always kind of passed the eye test. The highlighter for me was Osbury. I mean, looked physically better than I've ever seen him. I mean, he just, I want to say slimmed down, but it's more of like he toned up. Like he just he's like much more defined muscle wise. I think he's really grown into his body, just moving quickly. One of the best plays of the day in 7-on-7. He's carrying Bubba Frazier down the seam on a deep post. He's playing underneath it, like he's right in his hip.
Yeah.
And we talked about it before. Hebert tried to throw it over the top. Osbury broke it up, and then Tolich came in. So he looks like a starting linebacker for Notre Dame. I mean, he's obviously going to play a ton. They rotate their linebackers, but the linebacker room is as good as advertised. When Jalen Sneed is kind of when Jalen Sneed and Manfremo are kind of your, like, where are we going to use these guys? We'll fit them in here. Jalen Sneed has a role. Manfremo has a role. Obviously, you have Bowen, who's a captain. KVA might be the best linebacker in the country. It's a loaded position, and it looked good today. Even though they didn't have a bunch of wow plays just because of the way that the practice went, it didn't need to be. They look really good.
Yeah, they look great. And just I would even say just in general too, like everybody in the linebacker room just like looks the part. Just really looks the part. They look physically like in great shape, and I'm really excited about because I think it is easy to just kind of just be like, well, Bowen and KVA and whatever, and just kind of overlook a little bit how, like, what Sneed can do and his talent and stuff, because he is a very freaky athlete with a bunch of talent, and he can be very explosive, and he has made big plays for Notre Dame. And also Osbury, I really just would echo exactly what you said too. I just thought he looked really, really good physically and impressive. And there was a play, I mean, I guess it was way back in, had to have been 20, I guess it was 2019. Yeah, before 20, it was 2019, spring of 2019, where JOK like carried Lawrence Keys vertically on a play. And I was like, oh, like it was, I'm like, they didn't have the rover doing that before, and it was pretty reminiscent of that. It was impressive.
Yeah. So it's, pointing up for that. Everything's pointing up for that position group. Finally, the secondary. I think the biggest headliner today was it was Gray and Golden working the nickel. I mean, when they did individual stuff, those two guys like went inside and just did all nickel work. There were a couple other players who did it, that non-scholarship players went inside and did that work in there. And then everyone else was outside doing their individual stuff. And so I went up to you after that, and I was like, well, I mean, those are the nickels. I mean, they're not, when they're the only two that go over there, those are the guys that are doing it. The other headliner was Jaden Sanders came out with the ones and worked with the ones all day at the field corner opposite Leonard Moore. So anything else anything from that, and then we'll get into more individual guys.
First off, yes, David Marazzo, these are you can get it on Apple Podcasts, Apple, Spotify, yeah, all that stuff. You can get it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody was pretty surprised that Sanders came out, with the ones today. Um, just based on they just thought it would be like, well, it's either going to be McKinney, or it's going to be Gray
Or
that they
Gray.
put over
Yeah.
there, right? And they'll just kind of work it out. Now, it doesn't mean that McKinney won't be the starter there eventually.
Just day one.
It's just day one. But I will say the fact that it wasn't like Zachary and it was Sanders, because when, in the spring, Zachary was with the ones a lot at there, and they put Sanders there, which says a lot about the kind of summer Sanders probably had. And Sanders obviously looked really good today. And he looked good in the spring too. So it's not surprising, but they bounced him around a lot. And I wonder if like, maybe that's going to be Sanders' spot. Like, not just this year, but like permanently, maybe he's going to be the field guy. Right. And, I think it's hard to just talk about the DBs in general without just like, man, they just look so good. And it's like almost any kind of, so much of the stuff that the offense did today was like short passing game, like everything underneath. And it's like, yeah, because most of the stuff when you test them deep, it's like bad things happen for a lot of it, because they got like the safeties who have range and the corners can handle it. So it's tough, but Sanders certainly looked like a guy who's absolutely fit in with the ones.
Yeah.
Today.
I mean, physically he's long, and he's got good size. It's just, he fits, like you said. The Gray Golden thing, I didn't think Gray looked bad at nickel at all. There was nothing about him that was like red flaggy to me.
Yeah. Thought he fit the run well on a couple plays.
Yeah. The thing with Golden, he made a play. They tried to hit, it was Bubba Frazier on a post, and Golden came over the top and jumped it and broke up the play. It was a really good play.
Yeah, that was a good play. I forgot to mention him, I think, too. Yeah,
that is a like they rotated him. So they rotated him down to basically a cover 2 safety, and I assume it was Talek who came inside. Someone dropped, right. He inverted with somebody. I didn't see who it was. We were on the field and everything. I didn't see the replay, but like that's something. Are they gonna would they do that with Gray? Is a thing that are you gonna put him in the deep half? I wonder if they would try it, because they didn't. I didn't notice it today. Maybe they did, and he didn't end up breaking it up. But I just didn't see that. And I know they can do it with Golden because he has a little safety background to him. I think they're going to rotate this year, honestly. I think they're going to play both of those guys. I don't know if it'll be exactly 50-50 snaps, but I think Golden's going to play a lot. I think Gray will play a lot. To me, Golden looked good. I thought he looked really good. I mean, he's just like active. Like he's has very good feet. He makes good cuts. But Gray also he also looked like he fit. He didn't look out of place there as well. So I again, it's just like that's kind of one of those embarrassment of riches kind of things. Looking at Breonte Johnson and Don Schuler and Talek back there, it's like, oh my god, yeah. Like how is this?
You mentioned how Ethan Long was going to take what's his head off. Like
Aaron Henry's got to be just like, this is incredible. Like the LeBron meme, how is this my life? Like, I mean, and this is
total LeBron meme.
This isn't even to say of like Joey O'Brien was the only freshman who worked in, true freshman who worked in with the main group during the 7-on-7 and team stuff, and he's out there and like he didn't do anything that's spectacular. But the fact that he's even out there with those guys, I mean, obviously he's physically impressive. It's just like you just can't believe it. I mean, I thought Aiden Pouncey had a really good coverage rep against Matt Jeffrey, which normally wouldn't be a big deal. But the fact that Matt Jeffrey came in and like he had 7-on-7 and team and he made a bunch of plays, like maybe that was a really good rep by Aiden Pouncey. We should give him a little bit more credit. I mean, Kari Adams looks physically impressive. It's just like his first practice ever. So I'm going to give him a pass on getting beat by Devin Fitzgerald there. But I mean, just so much talent, Jamie. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. And also, I know that these guys are having an argument about, oh, this guy's going to start. You don't know. We don't know. No one knows right now. It's day one. It's day one of camp. Guys who starting today could be with the second team tomorrow. It's how it is. It's how it works. So you don't really know how it's going to work out. I think the whole point of what we're trying to say too, with just the DBs in general, is that they're just in an incredible position where no matter who's going to start, no matter who their top 6, 7, 8 are, they're really, really good players.
Yeah.
And they're just in a position where, honestly, it's like unprecedented at Notre Dame to be this talented at the top and have this kind of depth. It really is.
To be this talented, and you also have the best corner in college football.
Yes.
In Leonard Moore. And look, I'm not going to put Leonard Moore on any, like, oh, he stood out to me practice report.
Yeah, because of course he stood out. This guy's going to be whatever, top 3 pick, whatever, top 5, top 10, whatever you call. He's incredible.
News flash. He's awesome.
Yeah.
He is like everything. He is everything you want. He's like 6'2". He's got broad shoulders. His feet are incredible. He's got loose hips. He can turn and run. He's fast.
Like I said in the car before too, it's like something like, yeah, Jalen Smith stood out today. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just, of course, it's friggin' Jalen Smith.
Yeah. Junior year, Kyle Hamilton. You know what? I liked him at practice. He looked good.
I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah. It's just, there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say about Leonard Moore. He's awesome. And hit submit. I'm going to go get a burger. It's just, he's that good. It's awesome to watch him. I mean, it truly is. Like, he's a very, very good football player. And so long may it continue for him. Jamie, I think we rocked him. I mean, we went through everything. What Spencer Porath, did you see him kick today? They were on the other field. How did he look?
I saw him. They did kick in front of us for briefly. He looked good. And I mean, he looked the best out of all the kickers, unsurprisingly. And they're going to be able to make extra points this year, guys. Feels good.
They might make a field goal after October, which is what you want. Look, end of day, it's a very impressive looking football team. As far as big picture stuff, you can't really know any of that until they put pads on and you can see how you can see how they block, right? How they're blocking guys, how they're moving people on in the run game and stuff like that. We can't make a big picture assessment of that until you see that. We didn't see that today. We're not going to see that.
We just talked about safety. Nate.
Yeah, we just talked about safety for, I don't know, a long time. I mean, Adon Schuler, Breonte Johnson, Luke Talick, Ethan Long, they're awesome.
You just said it was an embarrassment.
Not tested. Yeah, like not tested. Like not literally
really
not tested. Like they had nothing to do. Like Breonte Johnson had nothing to do. Like he really didn't. So, except be back there and look like a physical specimen. So yeah, that's it. I mean, anything else from you, Jamie? Other than I think we pretty much covered literally everything.
The last thing I'll say is that there was like a long portion of the chat where people were arguing about whether or not Notre Dame was going to drop 50 on Wisconsin in the first game, which it must be day one of camp because people are fired up. And guess what? You know what? Is it ridiculous to talk about dropping 50? First of all, guys, Wisconsin's going to have a pretty good defense. They're going to have a pretty good defense. My prediction, they won't drop 50. I think they'll win the game convincingly, not drop 50. But guess what? Today, if you want to predict the drop 50, go ahead. It's day one of camp. Get excited.
What I will say is like we say drop 50 and we think about the offense scoring 50. There's a very real chance like we might have to bake in a couple of touchdowns for the defense in every game. Because that's just out there. You know, they have a great pass rush. They have the best secondary in the country, and the linebackers are lights out. Like, you just might have to bake it in. You know, like that's how you get to these 50-point games. It's like we pick 6 or fumble, scoop and score type thing. So, look, there's going to be a lot of stuff to come on irishsportsdaily.com from us. We'll be at practice tomorrow, although that's only a 25-minute period, so there's not a ton that we're going to get to see. But there's going to be some interviews and stuff. There's going to be a ton of stuff on irishsportsdaily.com. Jamie has his report that's up already. I don't think mine is up yet, and that's all the one-on-one, 7-on-7, and the team stuff, like the play-by-play of everything we saw from the team periods from those two groups. Interviews took place today, so a lot of stuff going on. So make sure to lock in to irishsportsdaily.com. That's going to be our show today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know whenever it is we are going live. We'll probably be back on Monday with Power Hour after we get Mike, get him up to speed on everything that happened today. And we'll be back on Tuesday for another Hit and Hustle. So, all right, everyone, have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. Keep hitting and hustling.